We're just moments away from a start here at Kogarah. Illawarra in 13th place. The Dragons in 5th. Can maintain a share of the competition lead after Melbourne and Newcastle moved 2 points ahead of them last night. Hampstead blows time on. The Dragons running to the left-hand side of your screen.
He's on one. Here we are, Illawarra.
The fullback, Murphy, will play it. To the left-hand side they come. Thompson. There's been the wars of late, of course. 2 send-offs and a week suspension as a consequence of the second one. They spread it very early on. Ainscough down the left-hand flank. It comes back to him now, looming up alongside him. Tracy deep inside of the Illawarra 20 on their first set of 6. Ainscough now angles to the right-hand side, gives it off to Rodwell. Alarm bells ringing for the Steelers on the left-hand side. That's where they go, the Dragons. Ainscough, long pass, first bounce, drops down for Mark Coyne. He's wrapped up by Mackay amongst a couple of others. Less than a minute gone here at Kogarah. What a start for the home team. Rolled into the in-goal area. The Illawarra Steelers will pick it up. And it is that fullback, the young man Luke Patton in 18, who cleaned up.
And didn't he do very well too? Showed enormous confidence to be able to get down and pick up the ball. Slippery, going to be under those conditions out there towards the post tonight, but he did extremely well to be able to get back in the field of play. It's a little bit of a tight grab for him, but he's done well.
Andrew Weiss is on the sidelines for us this evening. And Andrew, a big game for Luke Patton, just his second game in the top grade.
And what a start it is the first few minutes. Look, he got the stamp of approval earlier this season in a trial match from Canberra captain Laurie Daly. He was very impressed, Patton at fullback, but already he's been called to arms. He'll have a whole array of kicks coming his way tonight in these slippery conditions.
He's handled one already, but here come the Dragons in good position after a ball clearing kick from the Steelers. Tracy will play it. Brown, a first receiver, gives it off to Pearson. He's met 15 metres out directly in front of the post. Mundine holds it up, a cutout pass for Mark Coyne. He's tackled. Not much happening on that occasion for the Dragons. Mundine a dummy half to Thompson, who straightens it up and settles it on the last tackle now. More pressure perhaps coming for the fullback. Brown will go to the air. Flying through, Lenahan doesn't get there in time. Wishart cleans it up. And they'll restart it with a tap from the 20.
Yeah, the ball just going a little bit too far into the in-goal area, but I tell you what, one of the guys that gave him assistance on that occasion was Paul McGregor. He really got himself in between the guy taking the play, Wishart, and the ball coming through as we see a penalty coming up. Rossite for St George. A little bit of pressure being taken off them now. I suppose you could have really wished for a worse start to the game to go under pressure, but perhaps that's done them the world of good. They know now that they're in a game of footy and quite prepared to really lay it down.
Yeah, I got you, Kelvin.
They'll go on attack in St George's half for the first time in this game. 3 minutes gone, no score at Kogarah.
Touch shots, fellas.
They'll have it from about the 38-metre line. Purcell taps it. They go forward now. In jumper 10, Craig Smith gets it to the 20-metre line for the Steelers. Coming back, Barrett gives it away. A flick pass from Brad Mackay. Out wide is Timmins, and he's tackled 12 metres out now from the Dragons line. Again, turned back on the inside from Barrett. Smith is tackled. A couple of tackles left for them. They're fanned out to the right-hand side. A pass behind Will Robinson. He went to the air, but Lenahan flew successfully well above them. He came down with a thump, but got back to his feet very quickly. Ooh, coming across the top then was Purcell, a big tackle on Murphy. And now he gives up a penalty as a consequence as we take a look at that take again from Lenahan.
And I think we can get pretty much used to seeing that side during the night. The kicking that will be employed in this match, particularly close to the touch and goal area. Be sure to put pressure on both teams. Both of them getting out of it pretty easily at the moment, showing that they're ready and they know exactly what sort of tough conditions that they're going to be under.
Tracy working it up towards the halfway line. Another sloppy play the ball. Hampstead determined to get that ruck area cleaned up early in the game. And the Dragons will go deep into Illawarra territory again. They've defence has been good so far. Will need to be once again here. They'll play it just inside the Illawarra 40. Back to the left-hand side. Rodwell turns it back through Tracy. Pearson will be tackled. He gets inside the 30. Felsh came into the game as a replacement for Colin Ward. Moves off the bench, and Adrian Brunker is the man who comes onto the interchange bench for the Dragons. Brown turns it back inside for Coyne. He was angling back towards the post. Now Mundine. Off the shoulder. Gives it away to Pearson, who gets the arm free. Back to Mundine. Ainscough, a long ball for Lenihan. Ruled forward by Hampstead.
Well, there's a couple of the St George players too. I think Warren at that stage really knowing that a try's gone begging. As we see the replay, they had a real big overlap on the inside. They appeared to have a man extra. A little bit of a question over whether he actually could have got there himself. But it really doesn't appear as though that the wet conditions are there tonight. Both teams throwing the ball around. It's an exciting match.
The handling has been terrific, and as you said, Ainscough had a couple of men in between himself and Lenihan, and the defence really was struggling. Another quick penalty now will allow the Steelers to pick up some easy metres.
Warren, I think some good signs early for Illawarra. I know that Andrew Farrell was bitterly disappointed with their forwards' performance in the first half last week against Western Suburbs. He would have liked what he's seen, particularly in the first set of 6. Craig Smith, a couple of hit-ups, so they're certainly aiming up.
They trailed in that game at half-time against Western Suburbs, and on a night like this at Kogarah, you didn't want to be down too many points at half-time here this evening. Craig Smith hits it up. Still about 33 out from the St George line. Barrett. Cut out pass from McGregor, trying to fend away from the defence. He can't do so. He's dropped the ball in trying to do so, and the Dragons will have it. So a mistake in the New South Wales centre. Murphy to play at the fullback for St George. A mistake by Brown there, as if he was trying to leave the area too quickly and just didn't come up with the football.
Well, it was a greasy piece of soap. Really tough to last, but
Right, just keep yourself straight,
well,
Steelers.
I think he was wondering just as much as anybody, Nathan Brown, exactly what happened to that football. It was played back pretty quickly. That's what coaches are looking for. Not quite as quick as that.
Brad Mackay from the scrum base. And the Steelers looking to assert some authority now. And the Dragons inside their own 20. Big tackle made on Craig Smith there as he hunts it up. 15 metres out. Barrett, first receiver. Spinning away from the tackle was Craig Wilson. Dangerous close to the line. On this occasion, he's well contained. Terry Lamey settles it on the left-hand side of the ruck. Fan back to the right-hand side, but the back line isn't all that deep. Barrett grubbering from McGregor, won't get there in time. Murphy got a bounce. Barrett picked it up, and I think he scored. Hampstead will point to the spot.
Well, a mistake coming up. Slippery ball providing the opportunity for the Steelers to go on attack. And once they got the ball, they put it on the floor. I tell you what, it was a very good kick too. It was just in no man's land. Made it a little bit difficult for Murphy to get through and make the dive at the football. Like a piece of soap again. Too hard to grab.
Barrett just laid it in behind the defence, and as you said, Murphy couldn't quite get there. And very smart play from Barrett to just parry it with the left foot before picking it up and then diving over. His 18th career try. He's put his side up 4-0, and Rod Wishart should have no trouble in making it 6. Past the 1,000 points mark for his club last week. Puts it across the black dot. And at Kogarah, after 9 minutes, it's Illawarra leading St George 6 points to 0. Well, a great start by the Steelers. After soaking up plenty of pressure themselves early on, they've bounced back. They score first, and they'll play from in front here at Kogarah. David Walsh. Move the tape around the forward. Working it up for Illawarra after Trent Barrett scores the first try of the game. Brad Mackay, flat-footed after a poor pass. Purcell, the dummy half. Coming to the right-hand side through Craig Smith. Himself last year a State of Origin player for Queensland. Purcell picking up some quick metres almost to the halfway line. Dragons backpedaling for the first time in the game. Roll it into the 20-metre line now, looking for position, and Murphy will clean it up. A good tackle by McGregor. They've got them pinned just 3 metres out from their own try line.
They're playing a very good kicking game too once they're shifting the ball 2 or 3 passes wide, making sure that the St George defence is coming right up before they're kicking it, making it a little bit tough. And of course we see the second or third tackle. Unfortunately though, they've wasted it, using the hand to rip the ball out.
Well, aside from a few penalties, this has really been a high-quality start, hasn't it, from both teams, reflecting their recent form. Of course, the Steelers have won 3 from 4 and the Dragons shooting for 7 straight, but I'm very impressed with the way both teams are playing in these conditions.
They rank very well in the handling errors category. St George, second only to South Sydney, believe that if you will, who make the fewest mistakes of any team. Illawarra are equal 7th with Cronulla, so their form as far as handling has been good. It has stayed that way tonight despite the conditions. Rodwell, a dummy half. Comes back to the left-hand side now. 5 metres into Illawarra territory. 11.5 minutes gone. It's the Steelers on top. Pearson. Now Mundine, first receiver, jinking, getting through a half gap. Rodwell was looming up on his inside, but he couldn't find him. Now they find Rodwell. The Grubbers looking for both Blacklock and Coyne getting through, going back to clean up as Jonathan Britton. That will force a goal line dropout. So more pressure coming up for Illawarra.
Well, I think they took the wrong option on this occasion. See pretty obviously that Illawarra were expecting that. Britton getting back very early. They had been able to shift the ball wide. Perhaps they could have opened up an option. But one thing, Andrew, I've got to pay a lot of credit to the guys there is the kicking. We haven't seen one wasted kick, one ball go over the dead ball line. They're making the most of every opportunity they get.
Well, there have been attacking kicks, haven't they, from both teams? And, of course, Barrett's try resulted from a kick. St George have really one of the best variation in the kicking games, both long and short in the competition. So the likes of Britton, Wishart and Patton, they're going to be under plenty of pressure all night.
Here's Felch. 18 metres out, midfield. Rodwell, cut-out pass for Ainscough. Plenty of numbers there for the Steelers. Pearson is a dummy half. Get a good ball away through Felch. Now Brown, an important tackle made, and I think it was made by the hooker, Purcell. They still go, though, St George, to the right-hand side. Murphy trying to crash his way across. He'll be held up, or will he? Sean Hampstead is going to look at this on the video.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Wasn't held. He wasn't held.
Illawarra contending there behind the in-goal area that he was held up, but Sean Hampstead steadfast that it was play on, and Lee Murphy, if he has got to the ground here, has scored a try.
Well, if it's a try here, you've got to pay enormous amount of credit to their centre, Jamie Ainscough. It really did look like he was going to be held just short of the line. You can see him going down there. There's no problem with that whatsoever. It's a try. It's going to be a certain try, but you've got to pay enormous credit to Ainscough there. He would have been a metre short of the line. He's been pushed over the line when I think that he himself was prepared to accept that he was going to be pulled down a metre short. That's magnificent play, and I'm sure his coach is going to be pretty happy when he has a look at the video replay of that during the week. Here's the shoot. The ball going wide. There you can see he just offloads the ball. He's standing there a little bit short. You can see him coming in there, number 4, and pushes him over the line. Also puts the Illawarra defence off balance. Rossi situations like that in the game that can either win or lose football games.
Well, there were certainly 3 players there to make the tackle on Lee Murphy, who's become a bit of a try-scoring specialist since he came in, but it was almost like a power play out of NFL, wasn't it? Ainscough provided the drive, and the touchdown goes the way of Lee Murphy. Look, just in the lead-up to that try, a couple of tackles previous, the offload of Corey Pearson, he's done it twice already tonight. He really is one of the best offloaders of the football and creates a real danger for the opposition.
And he's held his side, level it up. With 14 minutes gone at Kogarah, we're tied up 6 each between St George and Illawarra.
Well, it's a quality game of football so far, isn't it? They've done extremely well. Their ball control in such greasy conditions. The earlier match we saw, President's Cup game, looked like it had mistakes written all over it.
The Rod Wishart with the restart. The Dragons work it away from their own 20.
And the 17 you see there, Warren, is Darren Bradstreet on for the Steelers. Terry Lamey to the bench.
Lance Thompson.
Here we are, Illawarra.
Driven backwards by Craig Wilson. Mundine. Just running to the line and then offloading. They pick up 15 metres or so through Felsh. Brown now. Anthony Mundine has been very busy in this opening 15 minutes. Aaron Tracy now, 10 metres on the Illawarra side of halfway. One more tackle for them. Mundine, off an Illawarra player, not played it, I don't think. Ruled now, 6 to go though, don't worry about playing in it. Blacklock, who scored a double last week, is dragged down 5 metres out. Illawarra in all sorts of trouble now. A ball out the back. It falls down for Anthony Mundine, who goes back towards the defence on his right-hand side. Still just 10 metres away from the line. Back they go to the right-hand side once again. A very short blind, a ball out the back. Handled beautifully by Wayne Bartram to keep it in play. Coyne now slips out of a high tackle. Still they are spread to the left-hand side, waiting. Brown goes that way. Rodwell, Ainscough. On the toe, coming across, Patton will clean it up. They did very well to recover their Illawarra after it looked like St George possibly couldn't fail to score.
Yeah, and I think they did very well and got let off the hook on that occasion. There was still another tackle or 2 to go. Sure that they would have preferred to have dived on that grubber kick then and faced the bomb that would have been coming from that next tackle.
The ball coming loose from the grasp there of Craig Wilson.
When you raked it, it was 2 on the tackle.
Pulled out, according to Sean Hampstead. So the Steelers get a breather. A well-needed one too. Their defence, apart from that one try, Lee Murphy found somehow a way to force his way to the goal area, has been very good. Turning and spinning and offloading David Walsh from the restart now. Wilson is tackled. Purcell, looking for a runner on his right-hand side, now throws, well, a pass that could be described as best as an absolute speculator, but they get the ball back, very luckily for them, and they'll have 6 more tackles as well. Britton is tackled. Barrett gives it away to McGregor. 25 metres out from the St George line. Very keenly contested contest so far.
That's Craig Fitzgibbon on for the Steelers, replacing David Walsh.
Barrett now. Ball off his hip to Mackay, who got it back to Barrett. Purcell backing him up. And he's brought down a metre or so out from the St George line. Robinson to Barrett. Cut-out ball for Timmins. Shape to give it back on the inside. Wishart, though, will try and force his way over. Got to within about a ball width. Wilson is the dummy half. Put it on the toe. Oh! This could be an absolutely brilliant piece of play. Oh, Craig Wilson. I have never seen anything like it.
Pele, he's arrived here at Kogarah Oval. You can see the confidence that's all over the Illawarra players' faces. They think it's a try. I don't think there's too many people that in the St George team that believe it isn't. The ball just hit the floor and that's a try. No problem with the ball being grounded. It's a circus here at the moment.
Darren Bradstreet has come through and dived on the ball for what should be a certain 4-pointer. And Craig Wilson, the presence of mind there to just put the ball on the toe. It certainly got the right break for him as well.
Of course, no problem with it being offside. The dummy half was the one slippering the ball through. But Bossy, this game has got entertainment written all over it.
Oh, and a set play too. I mean, you always put in a kick in for the front row. That's what they've done. There's the green light, no doubt about it. The Saints fans are bluing, but just a beautifully executed move, instigated by Craig Wilson, and Darren Bradstreet, who's only been on for a matter of 2 or 3 minutes, comes up with a 4-pointer.
I said earlier in the game he was very creative, close to the line, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they did very well actually to stop Wishart here. He is one of the strongest players in rugby league. Terrific effort on that occasion from Linehan to pull him down. But I tell you what, if they come out and say that they practice this move during the week, I think we'll see blokes with noses about 1.5 foot long.
Well, you can't play the ball forward anymore once you get to your feet, but you can certainly do that. And maybe Craig Wilson has come up with something that may become a trend. Close to the line, instead of playing it forward a la the old days, play it back to the dummy half where he plays it forward. Wishart now from 10 metres in from the western touchline. Illawarra in terrific form to start this game. Hooking back, but not enough. It remains a 4-point margin for the Steelers. 10 over St George 6.
Halfway through the first half, Illawarra 10 lead the Newman St George Dragons 6.
For the Dragons, back on their heels. In front of a good crowd and very wet. Saturday night at Kogarah. Ainscough with the restart. They've gone a little bit quiet here for the moment.
Interesting too that David Waite hasn't resorted to his benches yet. He's let the same starting 13 stick out there for the first 20 minutes. Brad Smith is one player on the bench who had a terrific impact against Melbourne last week. In fact, he was one of their best forwards, so look for plenty of work from him.
More variation at the play of the ball from Illawarra. The old mousetrap play now coming out, so they are absolutely brimful of confidence.
Yeah, and they're playing the ball very well. They're getting tackled on elbows and knees. The speed and the play of the ball is what's got him 70 or 80 metres downfield in just 4 plays.
One tackle left now, 25 out. Barrett again going to the air. Not all that deep, the kick. Bounced away from one of the Steelers. Nathan Brown dives on it, and that's where he'll play it on the first.
Oh, hang on a second.
The referee got a bit confused there, Bossy, didn't he?
Oh, he's had a shocker. Surely Nathan Brown was offside. He thought that the Steelers had come up with possession, and when he realised it was Nathan Brown, he just said play on. But surely it had to be a Steelers penalty.
He called it 6 to go, didn't he? But I think the one thing he's got in his defence here, both jerseys are red and white.
Oh, yeah, but if you call it 6 to go, it means that it had to come off a St George player. So Nathan Brown in an offside position ended up with a football. That's a shocking call. It was 2 points to the Steelers.
They're both red and white, but they're not that close, the jumpers.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a difficult to make out up here exactly who touched the ball. You're a little bit closer to where the action was, Bossy. Here's the reason for the penalty coming up. I don't think there's any doubt there whatsoever. Paul McGregor holding him down, but that could be a very expensive mistake if it was a mistake made. Of course, we would have seen almost a certain 2 points taken from the Steelers. Now they're under pressure. Looks like they've been let off the hook there with a mistake.
On the first tackle after the restart as well. From Mackay with it for the Steelers. 8 metres inside St George territory. Purcell and a switch. Coming back is Timmins. To the right-hand side they go through Scott Cram on in jumper 16. Midfield fanned out to the left and right. Craig Wilson, the instigator of that brilliant try just minutes ago. Short line worked nicely here between Wishart and Purcell. Getting back, Lee Murphy slipped at the first occasion, but came again to push the ball across the dead ball line. So it'll be a goal line dropout to restart it. Illawarra with another set of 6 coming up.
And once again, a very attacking and well-placed kick coming up. You've got to pay credit to both of these sides. A little bit too much pressure on the shoulders of Murphy there to wait and juggle whether the ball was actually going to run dead at night. This has been one of the best starts in a kicking game of football that we've seen. After all, just over 20 minutes, I don't think we've come up with a bad game, bar one clearing kick from Illawarra probably 90 seconds into the match.
And just updating you on those changes, Cram on for Craig Smith and Andrew Tangata-Towan for the Dragons lineup. He's out there for Luke Felsh.
It's Graham who played it. Good ball, slipped there by David Walsh. A floater across the top for Wishart. Trying to step his way past his opposite number. He couldn't do so. In fact, it was Darren Tracy who was there to tackle him. Robinson, they moved up quickly and he'll stroll through. Places the ball under the post and Illawarra are on fire. 14 points to 6. And we're just midway through the first half. They came up too quickly outside Will Robinson. He saw the gap and darted straight through.
Yeah, and I think he got in there in between Corey Pearson, big number 8, and also Tangata-Towan was the guy that got left on the floor. If they leave him run all night long, they're going to be in big strife. Just a little bit difficult. Tangata-Towan there, you see, is the guy that's just missed the tackle. A little bit of jersey grabbing going on as well. But they can't afford to play widespread defence close to the line against Illawarra. They've got to try and get as tight as they possibly can and tempt their inside players to throw the ball as wide as they possibly can.
Well, Nathan Brown was the player who came up outside Andrew Tangata-Towan, and that left that small gap for Robinson. Didn't have to be asked twice. He was straight through. Illawarra following what should be conversion here from Rod Wishart. He'll be out by 10 points. As we said before the game, on a wet night, you don't want to trail by too many points at half-time here. Tough playing from behind. Wishart just hits it with a soft 9-iron, gets it across the black dot. It's Illawarra, 16 points to 6. Underdogs? Surely not.
Well, if you had have asked Andrew Farrar at the start of the season, the position causing him the most problems, it was halfback. He had a number of contenders, but no one really out there in headlines, and Will Robinson has cemented the number 7 position, and that try is sort of shades of early 90s with the Tigers when he was the rookie of the year.
That's a very good point you mentioned there, Vossi. Of course, we saw Trent Barrett, who played 5'8" for New South Wales last year, was shifted in as a bit of a makeshift halfback, but that really took away from his ability and skill too. An error in playing the football. Oh, I think they've been very lucky to get away from that as well. St George, it really looked like Mundine was the guy that interfered with Mackay's attempt to play the football.
And Wally, that move of Barrett to halfback, of course, threw the whole balance of the side out because McGregor was forced into 5'8".
The Dragons from the scrum base. It's Coyne who's tackled 20 metres out from the Illawarra line. Pearson driven backwards. Good solid tackle in defence again. Lance Thompson trying to step back inside. And Mackay was there to stop him with one other. Now Mundine turns it back in for Blacklock all the way across from the right wing. Loves to go chasing the football. And went the width of the field on that occasion. Ainscoe. A long pass. Tangata-Towan, a ball out the back, play on. It falls for Lenihan. He gives it away to Pearson. He got to within a couple of metres of the line. Now Bartram gets across. A very simple play from dummy half. Hampstead is going to go to the video referee, but that is 4 points.
We're at the movies tonight. But I'm sure that Coach Andrew Farrar would be a little bit disappointed if they were going to give away this try, because they defended quite desperately in the previous 4 or 5 tackles. Bartram just getting out of dummy half. I think the only question was whether he actually had control of the football when he put it down. There's no doubt about that. That's a try. I'm sure that he'll be fairly happy about that as well. Wayne going into the State of Origin series next week. It's probably given him enormous amounts of a boost going into this match, and probably put things back on even keel a little bit for St George, who are a little bit disappointing in the prior 10 minutes.
Ainscoe it was with the cut-out pass there for Tangata-Towan. Came out the back. It really was a matter of going through the hands there, but they couldn't quite get there. And and there was nothing happening, but Bartram just sensed that the markers were slow.
Well, they were slow too, and also Sean Timmins didn't actually mark up straight in front of the player. It's a ploy that's used a little bit by coaches now because they know that the player playing the ball can't play the ball forward anymore. So it's only up to the dummy half. He stood a little bit too far to the left. Bardo went the other side.
Considering their defence has been so good, as you say, Wally, for most of the game, a couple of reasonably softish tries in comparison. Bartram hits the upright, but they're back within a converted try. Illawarra 16, St George 10. Still just over 12 minutes left in the first half here at Kogarah. Rod Wishart with the ball placed on the halfway line. And he drives it down inside the St George 20. Here's Tangata-Toa. A willing type, tackled there by Lamy and Mackay. Thompson. As admitted, he had quite a few nerves heading into this game. Spending last week on the sidelines as a consequence of the send-off the previous week here at Kogarah against South Sydney. A few words exchanged between Ainscoe and Wishart. Former New South Wales teammates. Brown a dummy half. Pearson just over the halfway line on the last tackle. Rodwell with a kick. A good chase coming through as well. And a beautifully weighted kick once again. It'll pull up inside the dead ball line. Luke Patton got back there, but he had nowhere to go. And Matthew Rodwell has been inspiring with his kicking tonight.
It's magnificent. It is one of the best exhibitions of kicking that I've ever seen in a game of football, and that's without exaggeration. He's kicked the ball there from a little over 40 metres out from the line, and he's pulled it up approximately 2 or 3 metres inside the dead goal line. What he's done, though, is given his team another example to be able to attack probably around about 30 metres out once they return the ball. But this has been magnificent kicking. Both coaches are going to be able to pat their players on the back at half-time. They haven't wasted any opportunities given to them, and they've tried to actually cash in a situation where the opposition are supposed to get the ball.
The Dragons have it through Pearson. 5 tries already in this game. You get the feeling we might see at least a couple more before half-time. Thompson now. Bumps it up. Gets it away. Bartram it is. Scampering up towards the 20. Looking for a quick play of the ball. Brown away to Tangata-Toa. Works it up for 10 metres. And now Sean Hampstead is going to call somebody out here. He's seen something in the tackle.
Right, come in. Yeah, I know. You come in with a forearm. I'm going to put it on report, right? You go and report it.
Terry Lamy, the man, being placed on report for the Illawarra Steelers. And here it is again. Tangata-Toa just bumping it up. Well, there it is, late across the top of the face of Tangata-Toa, and Terry Lamy almost threw the hand up there in acknowledgement that he may have been a little bit over the top with that.
I don't think
finish off for the tackle.
I don't think he was getting rid of Mozzies either at that stage.
I tell you what, with the benefit of hindsight, that try to Will Robinson has really shaken up this Dragon side. Probably, you know, they were impressive to start the game, but the last 5 minutes have been as impressive as any point in this game. I don't think there's too much drama. I think Terry Lamy, he'll cop the penalty. I don't think there'll be any further action, though, from the video review committee. I'll have 5 on it.
I'll have 5 with you. We saw Darren Brown miss a couple of weeks for a similar finish to a tackle against Balmain some weeks ago now.
Yeah, they got it wrong then too.
Darren didn't think so. He pleaded guilty. Now Wayne Bartram can bring the Dragons within 4. "15 metres in from the western touchline. It curls back nicely. And there's just to try the difference. The Steelers on top of the Dragons, 16 points to 12. So a game that's had a little bit of everything so far. 5 tries to report.
28 points in a game where we expected to see plenty of mistakes in it, Warren. There haven't been too many at all.
And this is where you expect Anthony Mundine to come to the fore. Last 8 minutes before half-time, tiring defence in the wet conditions. Let's see if he can really spark something.
Nathan Brown to the bench. He gets a breather for the moment. David Wade working the bench after keeping basically the starting 13 out there for the opening 20 minutes. A chance here for Illawarra. A dreadful mistake by the Dragons. Robinson got it onto Wishart, but he was well tackled. In cover, McGregor now to Robinson. Jinkson gets it away to Barrett. Lamey, he's tackled 15 out. To the left-hand side they go. Numbers there for Illawarra. Barrett takes the tackle. A high one it was too, and Hampstead is going to have words now with Andrew Tangata-Toa.
High. Yeah, he's still hitting high. Keep him down, right? It was high, right?
Well, the referee there not even crossing the arms to mention that the play was going on report. Tangata-Toa offering an opportunity for Illawarra going across. Gee, I don't think there was any, really couldn't have any complaint about the tackle being called high by the referee. Certainly did get over the top a little bit. I think Andrew's got to remember that he's got a fair pair of shoulders. You can have a look at those. They're monsters. Young bloke from the Gold Coast, when I was up there, saw him growing up when he was 18 or 19 years of age. He was always going to be a big kid. But we've got to pay a little bit of credit, I think, to Darren Tracy. He was the one that came up with a cover defending tackle in the bottom corner that saved an absolute certain try. It was a situation, it was a real surprise because we saw St George come up with an error. When they've tended up to come up with mistakes in this game, it has been also on the halfway or in their opponent's end of the field. They haven't taken too many chances down this end.
Apart from, of course, that early break in the first possession for them when Ainscough went freewheeling down the left-hand touchline. They tried a similar move just then, and it almost cost them, as you said, at least 4 points, if not 6. Now, Craig Fitzgibbon taking this kick as opposed to Rod Wishart. The winger in just his second game back was worth this one. To Fitzgibbon, who is off the bench. He strikes it wide and really didn't get any distance at all on the kick. It wasn't even close to going dead. So it's a very strange decision to see Wishart not take the kick and then Fitzgibbon strike it so poorly.
Oh, it's very puzzling. I mean, I know Fitzgibbon's got a fair percentage this year. I think it's up around 90% his kicking record. But I mean, Rod Wishart, he's kicked for his state, he's kicked for his country. I mean, surely you throw him the ball.
Well, it wasn't a pressure kick either. They lead by 4 and it was only 10 or so metres to the left-hand upright. So indeed a question mark over that one. We may find out more later on. Here go the Dragons now. In to Illawarra territory. Brad Smith almost stepping himself there, and he's tackled. 33 out on the last tackle from the Illawarra line. Jeff Hardy at dummy half, on for Brown. A kick again off the hands of Patton, off the upright as well. And coming through to make the tackle is Blacklock. A long break made by Smith. It's forced Illawarra now to work it out from deep inside their own 10.
Another very skillful kick, put deep into the territory. I think St George are a little bit lucky on that occasion. It did appear that one of their players, as a mistake is made. I was going to mention that St George really did appear to drop the ball and to play the ball on the 4th tackle. A break was made soon after to put the kick deep in the Illawarra territory. 2 rucks ensuing. We've seen a mistake made, and now the Dragons with a chance to post the last points. Just under over 4 minutes remaining.
Pretty simple mistake made at dummy half by Andrew Purcell.
Big blindside from the scrum too.
He's put his side under plenty of pressure. That's where they go. 1-on-1 out there. Blacklock got past Britton before the cover came from Will Robinson. Back to the open side they come. Felch. He'll play it 8 metres out. Comes through Rodwell. Tangata-Toa just straightens it towards the uprights. Midfield they go back to the right. Rodwell. There was a gap out there for a moment. The sliding Illawarra defence got there in time. Smith plays it. Mundine is the first receiver. Rodwell outside him. Ball in the air. off the runner. Ainscough couldn't get to it, and it will be a knock on, and Illawarra will come up with possession.
Very fortunate too there, Vossi, that the ball wasn't controlled, because it looked like there was a fair hole that was busted wide open.
Could have probably been the biggest set of 6 of the half if Illawarra can hang on coming up to the break with a 4-point lead. But I mean, a try there. It's St George who go to the break with their tails up, and Illawarra very much with their heads down. Andrew Purcell, the error that forced the turnover. St George coming up with possession. He had a horror last week. He was sin bin just before half-time. Got the rounds of the kicks from Andrew Farah. He may have been headed for another gobful tonight if the Dragons had have scored.
He came back to score an important try in that game, but Andrew Farah, as you say, Andrew, after the game said it wasn't enough to make up for his performance in the first half of that game against Western Suburbs. It's Cram now. Across the halfway line they go. Craig Smith will play it there. On the last tackle, well, another mistake. This one from Paul McGregor. He's had a couple of moments where his hands have failed him in this game. So St George now, with just over 2 minutes left, might get the last serious chance of the half to post a try. Tangata up towards the halfway line, where he gets almost the arms free. The ball back on the inside. Barton will play it. Hardy pulling the dummy half roll for Nathan Brown. He's been off for the last 5 minutes or so. Anthony Mundine. A pass intended for Luke Felsh. It's going to be cleaned up by Darren Tracy. A lost chance for them. And after that was Corey Pearson cleaning up there for the Dragons. Now they'll play it through Smith. Rodwell kicking back to the left-hand side. Lenehan getting through quickly, put plenty of pressure on Wishart and may have forced a mistake. So the Dragons will get the last shot at them in the first half, and it will be from 10 metres out.
Yeah, and you can see this, the Illawarra players quite sensibly taking as long as they possibly can to get to this scrum. If it packs down with about 20 seconds into the last minute, they may get around 3 tackles.
Well, it's 3 errors in 3 minutes for the Steelers. I mean, it's crippling if they concede a try here. And this change, I don't think Craig Smith was ready to come off, but it did soak up some time with Bradstreet coming as his replacement.
Rodwell now from the base of the scrum. Ainscough works it to Mundine, who almost loses it himself there on the first tackle. Murphy now, just 5 metres out. Chance for the Dragons to level it up. A ball back on the inside. Bartram did well just to hang on to it. Sure, he wasn't ready for the inside pass. Hardy is the dummy half. Ainscough at first receiver. A long ball for Felsh, who went to one knee. Put on the boot there by Rodwell. Barrett comes up with possession as the halftime siren sounds. And it has been a good effort by the Steelers to hang on in the final couple of minutes. And they will lead 16 points to 12 at the break as they go to the dressing rooms. Very entertaining half of football, Wally.
It has been. I think everyone at the ground could be really happy they've come along and watched this match here tonight. I'm sure that they've been quite surprised by the standard of play we've seen in that first half. Not too many errors coming into the game. We thought that there was going to be a fair bit of that. There's a real slur on this first 40 minutes, but they've done very well. I think both coaches will be very impressed with what they saw from their teams as well.
We'll take a break and come back to review the first 40 minutes at half-time at Kogarah Oval. It's Illawarra leading St George 16 points to 12.
They've got to try and do it here on St George's home ground. Well, they've got a pretty good record, the Steelers. They've done quite well. They've won 5 to St George's 4.
And it's Brad Mackay who comes up with it and will pick up a penalty for the Steelers from the kickoff. Sean Hampstead showing that he will continue to be very quick to penalise a team and to play the ball. Mackay there just trying to get back to his feet and got a little help from Anthony Mundine. David Walsh will play it just on the halfway line. Now Smith. Held up by Jeff Hardy, who starts the second half for the Dragons. And on the sideline, from the Illawarra club, Ian Millwood, the assistant coach for the Steelers. And Ian, I'm sure that Andrew Farrell was very happy with your side's first 40 minutes.
Yes, he was happy with the first half. Just a little bit disappointed with the way we finished that last 10 minutes off. And our completion rate was 12 from 13. And then the last 5 sets, we only completed 1. So we just lacked a little bit of concentration there. We've got to get back on track here at the start of the second half.
Leon, despite the a little bit of disappointment as the team come up with all close to the line, it's going to be a little bit tough, I suppose, to be critical of the players in the defensive effort, because the way that they really completed their defensive lines, only 3 or 4 missed tackles, was something that you rarely see in a wet game.
Yeah, you're true there, Wally.
Well, we've lost Ian Millwood there on the sideline. The wet weather has played a little bit of havoc with our equipment down there. We'll try and fix that up, but Ian, we thank you for your time anyway down there. Your side at the moment with the whip hand up by 4 points. But here come the Dragons now. A penalty and a quick tap through Hardy. It comes back to Mark Coyne. He's tackled by a former teammate in the shape of Brad Mackay. Pearson settling it with a hit up. Hardy starting the second half in preference to Nathan Brown. Started the game, of course, in the number 9 jumper. Felsh will play it. Rodwell, good flat pass for Tracy. He gets it up to within the 30-metre line. Now to the right-hand side they come. Quickly in attack. Mundine, a good ball back on the inside. Murphy chiming in, got it back to Mundine, who stands on his feet and almost crashes over. On the last tackle, Hardy. Murphy was the decoy runner. Rodwell quickly. A ball intended for Corey Pearson. Now grubbed into the in-goal. Play on, is it? They're going to claim a try. And Sean Hampstead is going to have a look at this one. The ball hit the ground, it was towed through. And I think that Jimmy Lenihan is going to come up and claim a 4-pointer.
Yeah, what he's asking about the referee was the pass that was thrown. The pass that was thrown wide on that last tackle. It looked like a certain St George try. He was wondering whether it was actually played at by St George. Was it knocked to the floor by one of the Illawarra players? It certainly did appear as though that was the case. The ball went to the floor. One of the St George players getting through to dive on the ball. I don't think there's any problem with the ball being grounded. It's just a difficult situation over the pass coming up second wide of the ruck. This one here, it looked like it was knocked forward by the actually Paul McGregor, I think it was. I don't think there's too many qualms about whether the ball was actually knocked down by McGregor. It really did look like the ball was battered down.
Well, no problem as far as the placement of the ball. Darren Tracy, it was the player who got there, and he gets a touchdown.
Well, boys, I hate to spoil the party, but I have one slight problem with it. I thought the ball was towed through by Corey Pearson at first attempt into the leg of Jamie Ainscoe, which would be an accidental offside, and have a scrum to pack down where that happened. I just think there's still a question mark over this try.
Sean Hampstead, of course, can't ask the video referee to adjudicate on that particular piece of play. Well, there is the first toe forward that you're referring to, Andrew, off Corey Pearson and into Jamie Ainscoe, and indeed I think you may well be right looking at that on the replay again. So a piece of fortune perhaps.
Well, of course, we heard the referee saying that he thought it was knocked down by an Illawarra player. He said he was going to call 6 to go, so that was the incident that the video referee had to adjudicate on.
Bartram with a conversion attempt, just pulled it a little bit to the left-hand side at Kogarah. With 4 minutes gone in the second half, we're locked up 16-all between St George and Illawarra.
Kogarah Oval, the Dragons and the Steelers 16-4.
Rod Wishart with the restart. And the Dragons working away from their own line. 16 points each. Lance Thompson now in jumper 12 for the Dragons. Working it outside their 20. Max Innes from St George joined us on the sideline, and Max, You'd be delighted with that start of the second half. A fortunate 4-pointer for your team.
Yes, we're happy with that, yes. All we needed to do was stop them from scoring a try and score one ourselves and kick the goal. We just didn't kick the goal.
Is there any particular plan that he said to the side, take out there in the football field in the first 10 minutes? Was it not make mistakes?
It's attention to the little things, Wally, that we're after, yeah. Basically, we're suffering from the effects of winning too many games there. They've been playing too soft.
Max, you have to be very pleased, though, with the kicking game. It's been magnificent. The kick and chase has been first class by both teams, but your team in particular.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of practice, and yes, you're striving for that sort of stuff on wet weather play.
Max, thank you for your time and good luck to your side. In this second 40 minutes, a mistake here forced by the Dragons. Will Robinson batting the ball down and forward. So the Dragons will get a loosened feed and a chance to hit the lead.
Well, they're difficult times, those. And Bossy, I think you've got to try and make sure that in tough times like that, where you just had some points scored against you, the next set of 6 you come up with, you don't come up with any dodgy play.
Well, you hate to say it, but they're falling apart, aren't they? The 5 minutes before half-time, Ian Millwood made the point, 3 errors in that 5 minutes, and then since the break it's been totally unlike the way they started the game. Just Illawarra, this is just a dangerous time. They can lose the match in the next 5 minutes.
Short pass. Very hard by Lance Thompson. The defence read it very well. Bartram is tackled now. Just 8 metres out from the Illawarra line. Rodwell through Mundine, a run around. Rodwell lets them off the hook. Comes up with a mistake, and the Steelers come away with it. Craig Wilson will play it and get a penalty as well.
Roll away, Luke. Roll away.
So it may have been just what they needed there to force a mistake from the Dragons and come up with a settling set of 6 here to try and regain some composure. Perhaps put a little bit of pressure back on the Dragons at the other end of the field.
They're pretty important for the lead men in both teams here to be able to settle their sides down, make sure that they come up with the plan that they took onto the field once they went out for the second half. Make sure that they settle down, get a little bit of communication going. It looks like there's a little bit of confusion going from both sides every time that they're running the ball.
And there's some extra sting in this first couple of tackles from the Dragons. It's as if they've regrouped and said, let's not fall off here after restarting the second half in good fashion. Let's keep the pressure up and try and force another mistake. Keep them on the back foot. Paul McGregor picked it up off his bootlaces on the last tackle. He's 25 metres out. Barrett spins and will be tackled. A waste. They'll turn it over. It was almost as if Barrett didn't realise that was going to be the last tackle. If he did, he took the odds to running it himself and was caught. Mark Coyne now angling for a hole on the right-hand edge of the field.
You'll notice too, for the start of this second half, Corey Pearson with his left thigh heavily strapped. He actually came off around about 3 or 4 minutes before half-time and went straight to the dressing room. They're basically going to see how he goes over the first 10 minutes, but he does look a little restricted in his movement.
The player in question gets it across the halfway line. It's Hardy at dummy half. Rodwell dumbing to his left-hand side, coming back in behind the ruck. On the last tackle now, Mundine with the kicking duties. Rolls it again, well weighted, perhaps just a little bit too much on it. And Patton watches it roll across the dead ball line. So a better set of 6 there in defence from the Steelers. But this is where their problems have been in the opening 5 minutes or so of this second stanza with the ball in hand. Made a couple of silly mistakes. Robinson at dummy half, looking for runners. Finds Craig Smith. Picks up 5 or 6 metres. Barrett away to McGregor. Going to get around the outside of Lenahan. Almost ducking under the tackle there of Luke Felsh again was Trent Barrett. Standby player for New South Wales in the State of Origin series, starting this coming Friday evening at the football stadium. Played at here by Jimmy Lenahan. I think you'll find he had to go back and retrieve it. They take him in the in-goal area anyway. So the Steelers, a good set of 6. They picked up plenty of metres, and now they'll get the ball back again.
They're very tough for defensive teams to be expected to come up with periods of 12 or 18 tackles in a row. But you really have got to pay credit once again to the talented kicking games being employed by both sides. Got to make sure that they come up with a little bit more discipline just on the edge of their ruck. Around about the 5/8 area seems to be where Illawarra believe that they've got a bit of a bonus. Of course, using Paul McGregor as a strong runner right on the edge of that part is an area that's going to be a little bit dangerous for them to try and match.
Ainscough with a low driving restart. And it's Walsh. Craig Fitzgibbon, he's tackled 22 metres out, working it back towards the midfield. Craig Smith now, another good strong run. Plenty of hit-ups for him this evening. To the right-hand side, Barrett. Through Craig Wilson to McGregor. He was tackled. Rodwell was who came across in cover. A slow play of the ball. McGregor appeals to Hampstead for a penalty. Nothing was forthcoming, and Barrett now tries to push his way over from dummy half. One more chance for them. 16 each between the Dragons and the Steelers. Perhaps a field goal. Pushed wide, was it? Hampstead rules that way. Craig Wilson it was, who had to prop back onto the right foot. Didn't get it as cleanly as he would have liked. And the Dragons will restart it from the 20.
What about the tactics? Well, a field goal this far out. I mean, I can't agree with going for that. They've had great success with their kicks all night. I think a field goal in the 51st minute wasn't going to have a whole lot of bearing on the match.
No, I thought it was the wrong decision to make, probably for one reason only, Vossi, because they, of course, had come up with 12 tackles in a row. If they had been able to, as an indiscretion in the play, the ball was ruled upon by the touch judge, Paul McGregor, the player being called out.
Paul McGregor. What's that, Les? Yeah,
the tackle was high. He got him around the chin, mate.
All right.
Just shut him down.
Yeah, no, just set his high, just keep him down, right?
You hear the call from Lance. You hear the call from Lance Thompson. He said, "Send him off."
There it was. I don't think there was too much wrong with it. It looked a little bit high. It certainly didn't seem to be any real danger in the tackle. But I was just going to mention they had the shot at the field goal. They'd come up with 12 tackles previously, of course. If they had been able to put the ball in behind the line, 18 would have been a little bit tough to be expected for the Dragons to hold their opponents out.
One roll away, hands off now.
The Dragons player through Luke Felch. I think Paul McGregor might have had a little bit more intent on his mind as he came in to make that tackle, but had second thoughts as he got there, which certainly worked in his favour now. Thompson. George happy to spread the ball around early in the tackle count. Bartram now getting back on an inside gap. And Brown goes to his left. Mundine running quickly. Good offload. Back again to Lee Murphy, looking for his second, didn't quite get there. Still, tackles for the Dragons, numbers to the right-hand side. They couldn't get it away from dummy half. There's still plenty of numbers to the right if they can go there. Brown will grubber. Luke Patton cleans it up. They force a goal line dropout. And had they been able to get the ball away from the play the ball, the previous tackle, they had to score on the right-hand side, surely.
Well, they didn't have an overlap, did they? They had an absolute majority collection on that side. Here's the tackle in question. A saving tackle being made. Sean Timmins, one of the players that saved it, but deciding to shift the ball wide. They really did have a 4 or 5 man overlap. Instead, the tackle wasted, and we just saw the grubber kick coming in by Nathan Brown. Now, the Dragons with a chance to post.
And it's Luke Felch.
Another pat on the back too for Luke Patton. That's terrific from a bloke playing only his second match in first grade.
A good save in the opening couple of minutes of the game, and a good save yet again on that occasion. Rodwell. Ainscough turns it back inside for the runner, which was Tracy, who's been camped out there on the left-hand side. The opening 14 minutes of this second half. Mundine will play it. 10 metres out. Lenahan just trying to push his way through to the fence. Fitzgibbon was there to stop him. A loose pass, batted down off the hand. Sean Hampstead says there was a knock-on in there. So a wasted chance, a poor finish to a set of 6 there by the Dragons. That'll have David Waite. There was the knock-on from Anthony Mundine.
Well, the likeness in this game really is remarkable. Of course, we saw 12 tackles there going to St George. Just a few moments ago, we saw it going to Illawarra. Their chance to come up with a further 6 was wasted by a field goal attempt that missed. A pretty poor pass from dummy half has taken away any chance St George may have had of increasing the pressure.
Paul McGregor. A little bit of space momentarily. A more composed last 5 or 10 minutes from the Steelers after really struggling in the restart to this game after the break. Set for a game that looks like going down to the death. 16 each. Just under 25 minutes left here at Kogarah.
Just one of the many battles I've enjoyed tonight. McGregor and Ainscough. Many times, there's McGregor on screen now, many times they've clashed here tonight. Jamie Ainscough, I guess he's a bit of a forgotten man when it comes to State of Origin football. He's playing in a side that, coming into this round, were joint competition leaders. He's played plenty of State of Origin before and with success, so he's obviously gone out there with a point to prove against the man who's in the side, Paul McGregor.
Corey Pearson. He'll play it back to Nathan Brown. Lance Thompson. Took off a little bit too early. Brown was forced to go back to his left-hand side. Tracy comes back to Brown again. Just on Illawarra's side of halfway. Rodwell looking to stop this one. He does it so successfully. The backspin. Britton did pretty well in the end to get back into the field of play. Rodwell has just been a magician with the ball on the toe.
What, he's not kicking the ball, he's hitting it with a pitching wedge, and it's going exactly where he wants every time. This is magnificent kicking displayed. Really, have a look at that, just popping the ball up, knowing that that particular corner of the field too, you can see the little bit of mud that's piled there, but a mistake being forced by St George. This really could be the part of the game that decides the issue. There is deep in your own territory, and St George of, Illawarra in the last few sets of 6 have been a little bit disappointing. Discipline doesn't seem to have played a real part in it, but they need somebody to do a little bit of talking and lead from the front.
Andrew Farrow wouldn't mind if they were making mistakes at the other end of the field, but they put themselves under so much pressure, and once they've coughed up 4 points in this second half, now it's the Dragons again on the attack, just 10 metres out. Ainscough once more at first receiver. Rodwell standing wide. A good ball for Smith. He'll try and climb his way across the line. He didn't get there. A long floating pass way out on the wing. Corey Pearson of all people, but the pass has gone forward according to Hampstead.
Well, it's probably one of the few times that you've got to question whether it was the right decision to make on that pass. They had 4 on 2, I think the count was, in that corner. Mundine opting to try and throw the ball over. You can see all the rest of the St George players that was there. It's a little bit difficult when you don't have a lot of time. There it is there. You can just see the amount of players. They've got to try and run the ball through the hands. I don't think there would have been any question had the Steelers winger, Jonathan Britton, come up with a tackle. He would have been penalised by the referee. He was blatantly offside. That's 4 certain points gone wasted.
Nathan Blacklock was the dummy half. Might have thought he was out there still himself on the wing, passing it to himself. The Steelers now work it up through Bradstreet. Back inside, Scott Cram on the last tackle. Plenty of time for Brad Mackay. Lenahan fields it. And he'll get to his own 30-metre line.
That really was a reassuring set of 6 for Illawarra, just to come through it, complete their set of 6. A good kick at the end of it from Brad Mackay. So things have just been looking a little shaky, but they've managed to regroup the Steelers.
We'll need a couple more of those before to come out on top here in the remaining 20 minutes of this game. Nathan Brown. Mundine. Again, they're stretched to the right-hand side. Short ball, but well read by Terry Lamey, who, of course, is on report for an incident in the first half. Brad Smith, who went so close to scoring for the Dragons, the previous possession for them. Luke Patton flies, the ball goes backwards. Did he come again and get it? No, he didn't. Sean Hampstead is going to rule a knock on both ways, and it should be an Illawarra loosened feed.
Well, it should have been I'm up on the rules, but shouldn't it have been just a turnover of possession on the 5th play the ball? If he's knocked the ball forward, should be just a simple turnover.
It'll be a Dragons feed. He's ruled Patton got there first.
Oh, there's a Dragons feed. Well, the ball looks for all the money in the world to go backwards off the hands of Luke Patton, if anything, but Hampstead, the Dragons thought it was going to be a feed against them. They were lining up in defence. Here they are now. Ainscough stepping off the left foot, runs into Trent Barrett. The Steelers have to stand tall again. Pearson takes it up to them. He moves within 12 metres of the try line. To the right-hand side. Through Rodwell. Turns it back into Brad Smith. Balls from the crowd for a high tackle from David Walsh. Hampstead says play on. Brown hesitated. Thompson, a ball across the top. More numbers for St George. Back on the inside. They can't get it to come to hand again. And this should be a knock on. They'll claim a try. Darren Tracy was there again in the in-goal area, but this time it will be an Illawarra loosened feed.
Well, St George have got to play a little bit more discipline when they're shifting the ball wide. They're coming up with frequent overlaps in defence, but they're all too keen to try and throw cut-out passes and very clever passes on the inside. If they just play it man for man, draw the defender and pass, I'm sure that they'll be able to come up with something. But again, you've got to pay credit to the Illawarra defence. They've been under enormous pressure over the last 10 minutes or so. They haven't cracked yet, but they can't afford to keep playing the game in this area of the football field. Otherwise, an error is sure to come.
Brisbane 4.
Sean Timmins now.
16.
30 metres out from his own try line as they work it away. There's Bradstreet. Scorer of that incredible try in the first half, laid on by Craig Wilson from dummy half. Craig Smith now. They picked up some good metres here in this set of 6. Purcell gives it away to Robinson. Cut-out pass. Spinning away from it was Patton. He coughs up possession, and the Dragons get it just inside their own half. So what was a promising set of 6 building for the Illawarra Steelers comes to nothing yet again. Pearson is dragged to ground, but offloads to Wainscote.
Now there's a real test of character for Luke Patton. We've given him a couple of raps. He's come up with 2 errors. I reckon if they get close enough, I'll be bombing him on this next set of 6.
We'll see if Nostradamus Voss on the sideline is right. Mundine pushes away from one. Finds some ground, goes back, turns it back to Rodwell. Murphy is tackled. 28 metres out. Nathan Brown, a switch. Back to Murphy before he's tackled. Gain of only a couple of metres. Illawarra defence showing signs they're not ready to crack just yet. Mundine, though, gets through. Away to Brown. On the toe. They have scored. Darren Tracy will get his second try in the second half. The Dragons have hit the lead.
Well, I thought the referee was going to question whether he was actually onside. But the hole's opening up. You mentioned it about the mistakes. Rossi on the sideline. Things that were really choking the Steelers at the moment. There it is. The passes on the inside, which really has opened up. Here's the ball. Gee, that's line ball. Perhaps the referee has made the right decision there. Right on the edge of the ruck is where the holes are opening up. The big forwards being asked to be able to come up with too many tackles. That's the question. Whether he actually was onside. Oh, and I tell you what, there is a little bit of doubt over whether that ball has got to the ground safely. It looked like he's trying to push the ball down.
Nonetheless, beautiful vision from Nathan Brown to receive the pass back and then immediately put So here's a look at the grounding you were talking about, Wally. Tracy diving. Fair try for mine. So the Dragons in front for the first time in the game.
And Andrew, those forwards being asked to defend, it's a tough ask, isn't it?
Yeah,
defending for 12 and 18 tackles and then coming up with 2 rucks and then giving the ball back to them.
Yeah, exactly. It was the 2 front rowers there, Smith and Walsh. Look, Nathan Brown, the work by him then, it almost appeared as if he dropped the ball. He was that quick to get it onto the toe to put the ball in goal. If you watch it again, Nathan Brown, it was superb.
You're exactly right, and Wayne Bartram is out of the extras. St George in front for the first time in the game. Lead Illawarra, 22 points to 16 at Kogarah.
Well, now it's a chance, of course, when we're going to see the real fortitude of the Illawarra players. Are they going to have the ability to come back and really show what they're all about? Or does St George confidence take over?
Wishart with the restart. Thompson with the ball 20 metres out from his own line. St George in front, 22 points to 16. Aaron Tracy, a brace of tries in this second half. Ainscote again tackled by McGregor. The duel continues. The weight of possession going heavily now to St George, and that has factored into them coming from behind 16-12 with the break. Bartram standing, trying to offload. Happy to take the tackle, though. And the game is the Dragons to lose now. Luke Patton, who made the mistake which led to St George getting possession back before that Darren Tracy try. Failing that mistake, it's been a very impressive second outing for the youngster in the top grade. McGregor still 18 metres on his own side of halfway. Robinson to the forwards, a little flat-footed on that occasion. Walsh wasn't going anywhere in a hurry.
And the rain has returned. It hasn't rained probably for the last 40-50 minutes of this match, but it's returned now. If anything, that'll just make the job for the Steelers a little bit tougher.
Purcell forced a kick from dummy half, a one-hopper, room service style for Lee Murphy. And he's back within 8 metres of the halfway. The try scorer, Tracy. He'll play it. Nathan Blacklock. 2 intercept tries last week, almost length of the field jobs against Melbourne to get the Dragons home. And he was lurking in support once again there of Wayne Bartram. Rodwell, away to Mundine. Balking at the defence. The runner stopped as well.
I didn't think that was all that good of planning. I thought they were in a prime position there on the forward tackle to take one more and set it for a field goal. They had Illawarra on the back foot, finding it pretty tough to be able to get up and charge down a field goal if it hadn't been used.
You're 100% right, Wally. And Jamie Ainscoe had sort of positioned himself behind the ruck too. I think he was expecting one more straight up the centre. He was there to have the shot 20 metres out, and from their clash earlier this year, it was Ainscoe who landed a field goal in that 19-12 result.
Raising the arm there, David Walsh, as he came to the line. Offloaded, though. Back through Bradstreet again. Trent Barrett circling behind the ball carrier to Sean Timmins. Robinson quickly from dummy half. Barrett finds a gap on the edge of the ruck. They've picked up good metres again in this possession, the Steelers, but still they're 25 metres out. Craig Simon on in jumper number 14. Off the bench this week. Oh, taken very heavily, Lee Murphy, while he was in the air there, and that could have very easily been a penalty to St George.
Well, he did extremely well there, and I'm sure a lot of his teammates were holding their breath. Shoulder used on that occasion. He did very well. Tough times for fullbacks in situations like this. He knew that a drop ball could have evened the scoreline once again. They can't afford to take any mistake-ridden chances here. St George, they've just got to play it fairly simple and get a good kick and chase game. Put the pressure right back on Illawarra. It's carting the ball away from their own line.
Brown kicking with the left foot from dummy half over the head of Patton. He'll be happy to watch Wishart come back and clean up. Gives it away to Jonathan Britton. So they've got to go 90 metres. So to tie the game up in this possession, the Steelers have been able to make good ground each time they've got the ball, but every time they have picked it up on the first tackle, they've been right down near their own try line. Timmins will play it. Robinson becoming very involved at dummy half there. Oh, a pass popped out the back here with nobody in support. They've turned it over again early in the tackle count. Craig Smith it was. Passed it to no man. The Dragons 40 out through Blacklock.
That's a bad error to come up with from St George. A very simple play the ball. Misread a little bit by Nathan Brown. He was wondering exactly who was going to be taking the ruck up. That's where communication plays such a huge role in the effect of a game.
Well, there's the mistake from Darren Brown. It was the faintest of knock-ons after, I call him Darren Brown? Nathan Brown, of course. Let's give him possession back to the Illawarra Steelers. Will Robinson away to Brad Mackay. The Steelers will be looking to work it towards the St George 20, try and roll the ball into the in goal, perhaps to try and get it back again, or maybe go to the air and put some pressure on Lee Murphy. Hasn't been tested out on too many occasions this evening. Stood strong underneath the last bomb they put up. Robinson, cut-out pass for Timmins. Plenty of numbers in defence there for the Dragons. On the last tackle, Barrett goes to the air. It's Lenahan who'll be tested. He took it quite comfortably in the end. And the numbers there for Illawarra, but the chase didn't put enough pressure on the winger.
I think it was a pretty poor kick too. He should have been able to put the ball up. He really is kicking away from where the majority of his team support is. They had the opportunity of being able to put it up somewhere near the post where half a dozen, maybe 7 of his teammates may have been able to get through and put pressure on in a position where Murphy wasn't standing.
Brown, who's had a great last 15 minutes or so for the Dragons, plays it back to Mundine. He's forced to rush a kick away from dummy half. Hatton was playing quite shallow, and once again he's forced to go back inside his own 10-metre line. Britton hasn't had much to do on the left wing for the Steelers tonight. So they've got just on 8 minutes left. They trail by a converted try in the game they led up until the 63rd minute mark when Darren Tracy scored the second of his 2 tries. Paul McGregor now. This light rain still tumbles at Kogarah.
Don't know about light, Warren. Don't know where you're sitting.
Cozy and warm up here in the box, I can tell you, Andrew. I'm glad it's you down there and not I. Terry Lamey now to McGregor, looking for support, finds Britton on the inside. Last tackle, still 35 metres out though. Timmins runs quickly to the line. Sees that Murphy is up, puts the ball on the toe, it bounces off the fullback. He comes again to pick it up and will make it back into the field of play. Great work.
Looked like AFL, looked like he was bouncing the ball on his run down the back pocket.
Wayne Schwass style with a close cropped haircut as well.
And he's got some pretty thankful teammates, I can tell you. They didn't want to be defending for another set of 6 tackles. It's imperative, though, that they realise they haven't got the game wrapped up. Oh, that penalty's really going to take a lot of the pressure off them. You can't afford to give away chances like that. There it was. He did extremely well. Murphy taking the ball away from the line. But again, it was one of those kicks that he had to run the ball out of the in-goal area. We've seen, I believe, the finest exhibition of kicking we've seen out of any game this year for a long, long time. Now St George have got to try and make sure that they play common sense football, work it from here, play a good kick and chase game. If they get somewhere on the other end of the football field, next time they get possession, work for a 1-pointer.
Lance Thompson takes it to the line. He's tackled by Brad Mackay and Scott Cram. Wayne Bartram again. Very quick run of 12 metres for him. Mundine, or rather Tangata-Toa, the Mundine lookalike. He'll play it just outside the Illawarra 40. Brown. Staying alive, as does Mundine. Shrugging away from Brad Mackay. Now back to Brown again, the combination. He turns it back on the inside to Jeff Hardy. He'll get to within 4 metres. They're spread to the right-hand side. There's numbers for St George. If they get the ball there, they don't have to go all the way up there. They've scored again through Rodwell. That might be enough to get them home. 26 points to 16. And it's been just a couple of simple mistakes by Illawarra that have cost them so dearly in this game.
Yeah, simple errors. Making sure that they had to take care of Mundine there was the prime choice. Good backing up on the inside from Jeff Hardy, but really it was clutching at straws for Illawarra from this stage on. They were still trying to get back and make sure they had it. A simple ball dropped into a hole, opened up the opportunity. Rodwell posting the game, that's taken it away without choice. Neat little pass. Brad Mackay finding it just too hard to mark. He had to concentrate as well on 3 or 4 players on the outside. And really, Vossi, it's been an occasion where Illawarra have been asked to able to come up with putting pressure on the opposition, but they put the pressure on themselves with consistently turning over possession.
Devastating impact, wasn't it, by entry there from Anthony Mundine. I mean, Brad Mackay had 4 goes at him before Mundine made the break and put the offload for Nathan Brown. He had 4 chances to get him to ground, and each time the strength and the balance of Anthony Mundine, he was able to stay on his feet and eventually make the bust.
Wayne Bartram looking to put the Dragons in front by 12. He does. It scrapes inside the left upright. And they've got just 5 minutes now to hang on. It should be more than enough.
Interesting to see which way they handle it here. Do they go for the short kickoff? They've got to try something. It doesn't matter whether they get beaten from 18 from here. They've got a chance to score. They must score 2 tries. They just can't afford to go kicking the ball long. Well, I don't believe they can anyway. Otherwise, they're handing away plenty of time.
Wishart goes for the short restart. Coming back, though, to take it in the face of the oncoming Steelers was Mark Coyne. Adrian Brunker, almost ghost-like in the brand new threads, on in jumper number 18. Brown, who has been sensational in the second half, masterminded the comeback from in behind the ruck. Mundine again stepping and standing. This time taking the tackle. One more for the Dragons. They've copped something in the tackle there. He use up a bit of time. Brown just dropping it in. Luke Patton wishing and hoping the ball would cross the touchline. It does so, but it uses up valuable seconds as well. And we'll get the ball back. Just about all hope is gone now for the Steelers. In the game they led for so long, and even when St George hit the lead through Darren Tracy's second try, you felt that Illawarra only had to get to the other end of the field for some period of time to get some pressure on St George, and they were very much in the game.
Yeah, Wally's made the point, Warren. I mean, all losses are disappointing, but it's been a frustrating one for the Steelers because things were going so well for them. And it hasn't been that St George have really stepped up a gear in their second half. It has just been the Illawarra mistakes that have allowed the Dragons into it.
Luke Patton got a ball away to Rod Wishart inside the final 3 minutes. The rain getting heavier all the time. Robinson tackled at the halfway line. Well, there's another one of those simple mistakes they've made far too many of in this second half. Most of them have been inside their own territory, and they have cost them.
Down. That was down.
There it was. Will Robinson pulled up for
the ball error. Probably had a little bit of extra weight on his shoulders at the time.
Still is a grey area, even though the administrators have tried to clear up the play of the ball. Will be a point of discussion in rugby league, of course, for eternity, it would seem. they go on the attack again, the Dragons. They turn it over. Mundine toes it forward. Coming through, Branco will beat him to the ball, perhaps.
And there was
the Dragons have come from the clouds.
And there was a battle royale going on between the two of them. I don't think Mundine wanted to see somebody score from the kick that he employed. He wanted to make sure that he could claim it. And there was a real push and shove going on. I think Branco was the other one that got through with him. Here it is, a neat little chip. Slide didn't quite control the ball. Mundine continuing the push, and he's pushed him. He's dead set, pushed his mate out of the way. That's my try, you're not getting it.
In the 79th minute, Anthony Mundine was the manufacturer, and he finished off the job as well. But he had to be rugby. He fair dinkum pushed him out of the way, didn't he? Oh. Do you think he doesn't love scoring a try? The man.
Well, I don't think Adrian Brucker's keen to fight him.
Well, I've seen it happen plenty of times on football fields where there's a real race for space in the in-goal area to claim a try. And it's usually between opponents. Very rare between teammates. I think you just see the real example of pride that's on board Anthony Mundine at the moment. Probably a guy that I believe was fairly quiet for about the first 60 minutes of the match. As the game's gone on, though, he's tended to bring out his own running game a little bit more and display the talents that's got him the name he's deserved.
Well, you'll look at this score at full time and think it was pretty much a cakewalk for St George, but it has been anything but. Some pundits were offering as much as 13.5-point start for Illawarra before the game. Well, they have done their cash cold because the Dragons have beaten the Steelers 32 points to 16 at Kogarah.